Hi, everybody. Welcome, TriVita members, to our call tonight with Dr. Robert Wolfe, the creator of MyoHealth. And it's my pleasure to introduce to you someone I think you all know, Barry Borisissel. Barry is the presidential director of TriVita and the mastermind of these training calls. Welcome, Barry.
Thank you, Christy. And I know it's the middle of summer, and some people say, "Why are you doing this?" Well, we got a hold of Dr. Wolfe, and it is being recorded, so we know that people will be listening to it. But we just want to keep the communication going because it is very exciting. And you know, today is a very, very important day. Obviously, the rescue of the 12 boys in Thailand is huge. Answers to a lot of prayers. That was an incredible story, wasn't it? And then, of course, the disappointment for me is that England, where my heritage is from, they're not in the World Cup. Oh, my goodness, they lost to Croatia. Anyway, we will carry on. So, first of all, I'd like to introduce Brian Worth. Brian Worth is presidential director, and what a lot of you probably know is that Brian basically is the chairman of the Field Council. And they are doing an incredible job. I mean, Brian keeps in communication with me and asks me my advice from time to time, and they're doing an amazing job. And I've asked Brian to come on. He will name the Field Council and then just fill you in on, give you a little bit of what may be happening down the road. So, Brian, take it away.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Barry. And I am excited about being on this webinar tonight. I'm especially excited about what we're going to hear from Dr. Robert Wolfe, the creator of this amazing product that we all have experienced called MyoHealth. It's certainly been a tremendous product for me in my health journey, as well as my wife Tammy's, and so we all owe a tremendous debt of gratitude to Mr. Wolfe, Dr. Wolfe, for this product. And I'm going to turn that back over to you very quickly, Barry, because I know people didn't tune in to hear me tonight. They tuned in to hear Dr. Robert Wolfe. But let me just take a moment and talk about something that I am extremely excited about. As you mentioned, Barry, I have the honor and certainly the privilege of serving on the Field Advisory Council, along with the other council members, which are Garth Borisissel, Cody Ramsey, Blaine Elkers, and Tom Trexler. And I will tell you that is an incredibly talented group of individuals that I have the honor of serving with on the Field Advisory Council. For the past, I guess it's been about 3 months now, we have all been working together as a council and working directly with corporate, with our CEO, Michael Ellison, on a plan, a very revolutionary plan that ties in with our co-op marketing program, our co-op advertising system that we all love so much. And while I can't give you the details, all I can tell you is this. This plan is going to be rolling out in September, and it is absolutely revolutionary. Anything you've ever thought about, you know, a compensation plan or things that relate to this industry, just forget about it, because what you're going to see roll out as it comes to fruition after the 3 months of working with the council in September is going to take our co-op marketing system to a whole new level. You know, we've had couple periods of extreme growth with TriVita. We had it initially, the Executive Builders Program. Many of you that have been with TriVita saw what happened to your businesses back then. Then we had the Dash to Director Program with Nopalea, which was an incredible product for all of us, continues to be so. Well, with MyoHealth and our co-op program and what's going to roll out the 1st of September, I'm telling you, you want to get ready to be engaged, because it is going to be a way for you to absolutely grow your businesses faster than you've ever seen possible in years past. So stay tuned. It's going to be an exciting year, exciting fall as we're heading through the summer. With that, Barry, I'm going to turn it back to you so we can move on with the webinar.
Thank you, Brian. And Brian is not exaggerating. It is very, very exciting. And we'll be having webinars on that, Brian, at the appropriate time, won't we?
Absolutely. We're going to have a full training system. And again, not to be redundant, it's unlike anything ever imagined or ever seen before. It is going to be fantastic.
Thank you, Brian, very much, and thanks to all the Field Council. Well, I would like to introduce Dr. Wolfe. We had the privilege of having him here in Vancouver with about 75 people last October, and it was just a super day. And, you know, we're not going to talk a lot about the product tonight because we're going to get into the questions very shortly. But, you know, if you want more information, if you're new on the line, to watch our media program, our catalogs are full of information. But Dr. Wolfe, to just be very brief and tell us how this came about. We know the results, we know what the product is, excuse me, but many of us don't know exactly what happened. So, Dr. Wolfe, take a few minutes before we get into the questions to tell us how the research and how it happened.
Thanks, Barry, for the intro. And I think it's kind of an interesting story because it kind of shows how one thing leads to another, and you end up where you never thought you would. I worked for many years as the director of metabolism at the University of Texas Medical Branch and the Shriners Hospital for severely burned children. So my work was really focused on helping severely burned children rehabilitate back into normal function. And in that context, really spent a lot of time working on the metabolism of muscle. Well, we were right down the road from NASA, and NASA had a major problem with the astronauts, and that was that in spaceflight, the lack of any resistance caused them to lose muscle at a very fast rate. But it was very difficult to supply food with high enough protein to really combat that loss of muscle, and that had a greater bang for the buck, so to speak, in terms of the most effective way to stimulate the muscle protein so that there was no loss of muscle mass or function in space flight. And that's where I developed this product, which ended up focusing on the essential amino acids as really the cornerstone of regulating the rate of muscle protein metabolism. And as most of you probably know, the essential amino acids are the only essential macronutrients that we have in our diet. These are amino acids that can't be produced in the body. Well, one thing led to another, and the thing that really directly extended from those studies with NASA to the MyoHealth was the discovery that I made along the way that the particular formulation of amino acids that's optimal for young, healthy people in spaceflight was actually not really very effective and as effective as it might be in older people. And so it led to the discovery of the fact that the formulation of the amino acids that is most appropriate for older people is really a little bit different than what the formulation we use for the astronauts. Although there's some similarities, the fact is that the research led to the patenting of the MyoHealth formulation based on the specific alterations that occur in metabolism as we get older, and trying to focus on maintaining muscle mass and function, despite the fact that as aging proceeds, there's a certain loss. And by aging, I'm not really focusing on just old age, but we start losing muscle significantly by the age of 40. So from after 40 on, the product is designed to slow the rate of loss of muscle. That's to an extent inevitable, but we can do a lot with it, slowing it down with the MyoHealth product.
Well, that's great information, and I know I can't live without it. In fact, what I do is I take a water bottle everywhere I go, and it's such a sweet taste to it. And I got this idea from my wife Ruth. Is I just take a couple of scoops, pour it in the water, and everywhere I go, I'm drinking MyoHealth. So water and MyoHealth together, great combination. Well, thank you, Dr. Wolfe. Well, now we're going to get into, we got two sets of questions here. The first one is going to be by Sue Bacini, and I got to congratulate Sue. This was her idea, not mine, not Brian's. It was her idea to have a time with Dr. Wolfe. So thank you, Sue. And so we're going to go to the questions now. Sue, are you on the line? Because she says here to me, Christy, that she says she's been muted. So I'm not sure what that means.
Okay.
I don't know if you can solve that question, but maybe you could put the first set of questions up with Sue, and then we'll have the second set of questions with Dr. Don Peterson shortly. So if Sue's not on the line, Christy will get you to read the question, and then Dr. Wolfe can answer. Are you there, Sue?
Okay.
No, I don't know where she is, but okay, go ahead, Sue. Or go ahead, Christy, sorry.
Okay, sorry about that, Sue. So the first question, and I know that these were important, that Sue really wanted to ask. When should we drink MyoHealth? Is it best first thing in the morning on an empty stomach? And can it be, is it beneficial before and after exercising?
Well, it's not really an either-or question. Drinking MyoHealth on an empty stomach first thing in the morning will always be a good thing, and I do that myself. And the advantage is that we tend to not have a very high-protein breakfast, so that it really will flush out the whole diet, so that you have a balance of the essential amino acids throughout the day. So that's certainly a good thing. But at the same time, I have published quite a bit of data showing the beneficial effect both before and after exercise. So it really depends on what's convenient. The essential amino acids will function whether you eat them or drink them on an empty stomach or full stomach before exercise or after exercise. But realize that if you do it in conjunction with exercise, you will amplify the effect, that there's an interactive effect between exercise and the aminos in MyoHealth. So that really, I think drinking first thing in the morning is really a great idea because it becomes a habit and you never forget it and so forth. But after exercise really is important as well to maximize the beneficial effects of the exercise.
Okay, that's good to know. And then can you break down for us who should use capsules, who should use the food replacement shake or the lemon powder? Basically,
sure.
What are your recommendations?
Well, the capsules versus the lemon powder is purely a matter of preference. The capsules don't have the same amount of flavoring, so that because they're just capsules, so that there's not that component. But fundamentally, the two formulations are the same in terms of the amino acids, and they will have the same effect. Some people prefer taking capsules, and some prefer the beverage, and that's entirely a personal preference. It's a little different, and really, I think is probably most effective for people that are trying to lose some weight. Weight after being sick or something, then if you add the food replacement, that will help in that regard. Because the difference between the food replacement shake and the some intact protein, which actually doesn't have quite the punch that the individual servings in the capsules or the powder has.
Okay. Thank you. Well, I think Sue is on the line. Are you there, Sue? That's okay.
Yeah.
We'll get you. We've told everybody how wonderful you are, and this was your idea. So we started the question. So Christy will put up the next slide, and we'll just get you to ask the question on the slide, and then Dr. Wolfe will answer. So there you see it. Do you have the slide there, Sue?
Yes. Does MyoHealth have a sugar ingredient, correct?
It's the one. Okay.
Yeah, that's a quick answer, which is no. And I just like to expand a little bit on that because in the intro, I commented on the fact that for the astronauts as well as developing the product was to develop a product that had the biggest bang for the buck, meaning that the greatest stimulation of the, in that context, we've avoided any sort of sugar or fat as any sort of significant contributor to the caloric addition. So that's one of the great benefits of the product, is that it is basically pure essential amino acids. Now the question, oh yeah.
Oh, well, so I've had customers say that they've gained weight while using the MyoHealth. Does that have anything to do with their diet? I mean, in addition to the MyoHealth, the lemon drink.
No, it's not. Well, the issue of gain, we're a little bit limited in our scales because the scale doesn't differentiate between muscle and fat. And one of the things that has been shown over and over again is that as you stay on this kind of amino acid formulation for a period of time, that gradually muscle increases and fat decreases. And the muscle is more dense than the fat, and so that might be reflected in an increase in body weight, but that increase in body weight is healthy because it's an increase in the muscle mass, and so that's not something to be concerned about. If as I said, if you're concerned about losing weight, then you can substitute your lunch for one of the meal shakes, but realize that if you build increased muscle over time, that is going to add a little bit of body weight, but that's a healthy thing.
But when you use the meal replacement shake, Dr. Wolfe, do you also use the lemon drink like before, weightlifting and after aerobic exercise?
Right. That was, yes. They're really different because the meal replacement doesn't have the same amount of essentials as the other two, the capsules and the lemon drink, and so that you can amplify your exercise effects with just the pure amino acids. That's always going to be the most effective. The other beverage is more of a meal replacement than to be used to specifically amplify an exercise effect. Okay,
great. And then the next question is, how much whey protein would I have to consume to ingest 4 grams of essential amino acids? What are the disadvantages of ingesting the whey versus the essential amino acid solution?
That's a question, Wolfe.
Yeah, no, it's one that's an important one because whey is the most popular protein supplement, and it's an effective protein supplement. I should say that I don't know that you will ever get the same response to whey protein as you do with essential amino acids. In terms of the metabolic response of the muscle protein, even 40 grams of whey protein has been shown to be no better than taking 3 grams of the MyoHealth formulation. And the reason for that is that it's not just a matter of how many essential amino acids, it's the balance of the profile of the individual amino acids. And the profile of the amino acids in the MyoHealth is quite different than it is in whey protein. So whey protein can be an effective adjunct to the MyoHealth, and in fact, you have whey protein in the shake formulation. It prolongs the effect, but it's not going to be the same kind of effect. You will not get the same. You'll never get the same exact effects with whey protein as with essential amino acid formulation. So that so it's in a way it's a little difficult question to answer. I don't think that there's any question that it's not an either or between whey protein or the essential amino acid formulation. If you like the whey protein formulation, if you like the taste and don't mind the bloating or whatever that most people kind of complain about, then there's no problem continuing with the whey protein. The adding to the essential amino acids to the whey protein will will definitely amplify its effect. And that's why when those two things are together, the EAAs and the whey protein and the shake, that you get a beneficial effect of both components. But if you're just going to look for, like I said, the biggest bang for the buck, it's going to be with the pure essential amino acids in the capsules or the lemon beverage.
Okay,
thank you.
As Christy goes to the next question for Sue, I want to mention that in the bottom of each of these, you can see our disclaimer. We want to make it very, very clear that we're not here. We don't prevent disease. We don't cure it. We don't cure it. The disclaimer is very, very important. All we're here to do is help people to take better care of themselves personally and emotionally, spiritually, financially. That's what we're here. So you can see the disclaimer there, and we put it on every screen to make sure that there are no misunderstandings, that anything that Dr. Wolfe is talking about is in the area of curing. So with that, there's 3 more questions there for Sue to ask. Sue, go ahead.
Okay. Is MyoHealth beneficial for younger people in very good health?
Yes, I think that the thing that's important to realize about MyoHealth is that it's a formulation of essential amino acids that are the only macronutrient required in the diet. These are not only just naturally occurring nutrients, but they're required, and the requirements for essential amino acids in younger people is actually higher than it is for older, particularly even children, where the growth and development requirements make the essential amino acid requirements almost double what they are as you reach older age. So that it's important not only for older people, but for younger people, for growth and development, for athletic participation, and just general health. It's it's good for all ages.
And in your book, it says that your solution crosses the blood-brain barrier. So is it good for learning, that kind of thing, and memory, that type of thing?
We don't have any data on the memory. Is a tough one. We've been doing research in dementia and delirium, and it's really, there are a lot of variables that go on there. And in terms of learning, in terms of school, I think the thing that is going to be more clear with this is that you get a stimulation of the excitatory neurons and the neurons that put you to sleep. So the serotonin is decreased and the dopamine is increased, which will increase your alertness. And that's why, because it will give you some energy in terms of the balance between serotonin and dopamine that will favor alertness. So that in that context, it's certainly going to help learning in the sense of not falling asleep during the class, but without caffeine. So in that sense, it's a natural way to increase your attentiveness. But as far as specifically related to learning, I'd be hesitant to make any comment about that.
Yeah. Well, I would think just nutritionally, it would be good for somebody growing up just to make sure you have all the bases covered, right, for protein?
Yeah, I think that's really crucial. I mean, this whole issue of school breakfast, school lunches, and so forth, the things that certainly come across is that it's hard to get kids to eat things they don't want to eat, no matter whether they're good for them or not. And the advantage of providing the essential amino acids in a compact form is that it's really the only required nutrient that they have. People are just not aware of that you'll do fine with any. I'm not talking about vitamins and minerals, but between carbohydrates, fats, proteins, and so forth, the essential amino acids are the only nutrients that are required for growth and development, and so it's really a very important thing that the children get an adequate supply, and they don't often get that with their diet.
Okay, so last 2 questions. Yeah.
Okay, so what age group reports the most benefit from MyoHealth?
You're going to see the most benefit in the context of older people, and the reason is that as you get older, you get closer and closer to a threshold where if you drop any more, you're going to really see some functional problems. Now, for a 25-year-old person, they're going to be able to go out to the mailbox and get the mail, regardless of whether they're taking amino acids or not. You may improve a lot of aspects of health, but it's going to be more subtle. In the older group, you're going to see the effects more dramatically because the difference between staying on the right side of that threshold and crossing over to where you're really significantly impaired in body function is, close to hand, and so that's where you see the most improvement. That's not to necessarily say that it's the only group that will benefit. It's just that, a lot of the research that I've done on this is in older people because it's much easier to show an effect in someone that is kind of teetering on the edge of really losing the muscle mass and function to the point where it really impairs their ability to do activities of daily living.
Right, absolutely. And the last question is, go ahead, sorry?
I said just wrap it up with the last question here.
Okay, and so the last question is, can supplementation harm your liver?
Good question.
Well, actually, it's just the reverse, and I'm not going to go into great detail on this, but we do have a lot of published data that one of the most common problems in the liver is the accumulation of fat in the liver. And this has now been shown to be a principal pivot point in development of diabetes. It's long been known to be the precursor of the development of fibrosis and as well as cirrhosis in people that are drinking too much alcohol. And in a variety of circumstances, fat accumulates in the liver. And actually, I published a paper showing that this mixture of, and unfortunately, as we get older, fat accumulates in the liver just as part of the function of getting older. And that we found and published in an important journal that the MyoHealth formulation actually reduced liver fat by 50%, which was more than treatment with phenylfibrate, which is the accepted drug to reduce liver fat. But phenylfibrate has many side effects, none of which occur with amino acids. So that really not only does this formulation not harm the liver, it really helps reduce the liver fat so that it actually has a beneficial effect on the liver.
Great.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Amazing information. Thank you very much, Sue and Dr. Wolfe. Let's go to Dr. Don Peterson with the second group of questions. We've already commented how wonderful Sue Bacchimi is. This whole program, I'll say it because she didn't hear me say it, we're on here tonight because of Sue. So everybody give Sue a clap. So great idea, Sue, and we really thank you for your participation. So our second and last questions are by Dr. Donald Peterson, chiropractor from Red Deer, Alberta. Don, just tell us very briefly your reaction to the product and then ask the questions that Christy has put on the slide for you.
Well, thank you, Barry. Thank you for inviting me onto the webinar. I have been using MyoHealth, of course, and enjoying the benefits of it. I particularly like the fresh taste of it. I'm a bit fussy about what things taste like, and quite frankly, I find it very refreshing. But I have a standard means of testing my strength, and it's my hunting bow, which draws at 72 pounds. And my grandson, who's 17 and built like a linebacker, can pick that bow up and draw it like it's nothing at all. And as I've been getting older, of course, my strength has been depleting somewhat, and thinking about turning that bow down to maybe 60 pounds. But, since I've been taking MyoHealth, I can compete with that whippersnapper and I can pull the bow back. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Way to go, Don.
I'm not going to
go away.
Okay. Anyway, Dr. Wolfe, I really enjoyed visiting with you in Vancouver when we had the opportunity to have lunch together. And the question that I wanted to ask you isn't on here, but I'm going to ask these questions first, and maybe Barry will give me the liberty to ask you another question at the end. But many people are reporting weight loss after taking MyoHealth. What's the research data on MyoHealth and weight loss?
Just to give a little sort of physiological background, the muscle is constantly being, new muscle is constantly being produced to replace the old muscle that's being broken down, and that requires energy. And, we're used to thinking in energy in terms of kilocalories. As you get a greater muscle mass, then the amount of kilocalories used to maintain that muscle mass goes up, and the whole process of this synthesis of new protein, breakdown of old protein requires energy. So that all other things being equal, then there will be an increased energy expenditure that goes along with the effect of the amino acids on muscle. So that if you have an absolute maintenance of what you're eating, activity level, and so forth, then you will lose a little weight with the amino acid formulation because of the increased energy that's required for the effect on muscle to occur. I think that that's kind of I've kind of answered the second question there as well. So there's a metabolic basis for losing weight. Now, if that's not desirable, then of course you can increase your caloric intake along with it, and you will increase your muscle mass as well as your total body weight. But most of us, I think, I'm not going way out on a limb, I'd say most of us are happy if we could lose some weight and increase the muscle mass. And that's the metabolic basis for it. We've actually published 2 different studies on this point. The major focus was that on hypocaloric diets to lose weight, that using the essential amino acids well on a weight loss diet enables the maintenance of muscle mass, and in fact is the only way that you can maintain your muscle mass if you're on an actual diet. So I think that we had an earlier question about people gaining weight, and I think you can gain weight, you can lose weight, depending on what the rest of your diet is. The point is that you're gaining muscle. That's going to increase your energy expenditure. If you increase your caloric intake to balance that, then you'll gain weight. If you maintain your caloric intake where it was before you started the MyoHealth, you'll lose some weight. So it really depends what your goal is.
Well, you've answered the second question as well. So are there any actual studies or data on the weight loss effect of the product?
Yeah, like I said, there are 2 published papers with incorporating the essential amino acid formulation into a weight loss program, which showed that the weight loss occurred at a faster rate, and also that muscle was retained in a much better extent than when just in a traditional. In fact, I think the comparison was with OptiFast, a traditional sort of weight loss program. Now, as far as just people that are free living, not trying to lose weight, that's a tough question to answer because you really have to control the dietary intake quite carefully, and that study hasn't been done.
So, Barry, I got cheated out of my question, so can I ask one more question?
Go right ahead.
Yeah, Dr. Wolfe, you and I spoke about dialysis when we were together in Vancouver, and you had quite an interesting comment to make about that. Could you comment on people under dialysis and this product?
Yeah, the people undergoing dialysis, you have a real dilemma because the dialysis actually induces an inflammatory response which causes some loss of muscle, and also just the filtering process filters out amino acids, so that you have a real need for increased protein intake to counterbalance this loss of muscle due to the inflammatory response, as well as the fact that you're losing amino acids that are being filtered out. But the problem is, the flip side of increasing your protein intake is that you're increasing the ammonia production, which has to be converted to urea and puts a burden on the kidneys to be excreted. And if the kidneys aren't functioning, then you're going to need dialysis more frequently. So the traditional approach in dialysis has always been to give patients a low protein diet so that it decreases the stress on the kidneys, recognizing that this contributes to a loss in muscle. And one of the things that has been a controversy among the nephrologists now is that this loss of muscle is so detrimental to health that they're going ahead and recommending higher protein intake, even though they know that this isn't good for the kidneys because the loss of muscle mass is so detrimental to overall health. Well, the essential amino acid formulation really kind of comes to the rescue here because it doesn't include any of the amino acids that are involved in the production of urea and ammonia, and in fact causes those amino acids to be recycled into muscle protein at a faster rate. And we did a study in dialysis patients that actually showed that use of MyoHealth actually stimulated muscle and prevented some of the loss that occurred because of the dialysis, while at the same time actually decreasing the rate of urea production, because some of the amino acids that cause the production of urea are actually recycled back into the protein, with the result that that you have this effect that it's not only not bad for the kidney, but you can get the beneficial effects on muscle without any detrimental effects on the kidney at all that will come along with eating a higher protein diet.
Thank you, Dr. Wolfe.
Well, this has been awesome information, and we're going to be doing more of these. I know we could probably carry on, but I want to thank Dr. Wolfe particularly. Is there any last comments, Dr. Wolfe, you would like to make before we wrap it up? We have two special announcements to make at the end. Do you have any closing comments you'd like to make?
I think one of the things that I'm appreciating now that people have been using this product for a long time is that that there's a degree of leveling off, that you're going to see much more rapid improvement in the early phases than once it becomes part of your daily routine. And that's why a degree of understanding the basis for why it's working and to realize that you're sort of at a new norm and that you'll lose that norm if you don't keep taking the product is really the challenge for, once you've been taking it for 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, to realize that you really still need to take it.
That's great information. Well, we can't thank you enough for your time. I have learned so much. I have a feeling this is just the first of a whole new kind of series where we can ask someone like yourself, and we do appreciate it so much. So you've heard some awesome information tonight, both from Brian, where he just teased us a little bit of what's coming from the business perspective, and then some excellent questions that have been submitted by ITBOs that were submitted by Sue and Don, and great answers. So, Christy, wrap it up with a couple of announcements, please.
Sure, Barry. Okay, so just before you go, just wanted to let you know that if you're interested in buying Dr. Wolfe's books, you can purchase both of them in your back office, and that would be a really helpful resource to help build on